Here's an expanded version of Part 1 in a simple, engaging narrative style. The emergency alarm blared through the cramped corridors of the medical frigate Nightingale. Hyun Park's hands moved with practiced precision, securing medical equipment. As the ship vibrated from distant explosions, outside the reinforced viewports, the battlefield of Sector 7 looked like a graveyard of broken dreams, scattered spacecraft debris, burning hulks of alien cruisers, and the endless black void of space. Hyun wasn't a typical combat medic. At 29, he'd seen more death than most people experience in a lifetime. His team called him the Ghost Healer, someone who could find life in the most impossible situations. Today would prove why. The ship's AI suddenly chirped, breaking the tension. Unidentified life sign detected, approximately 2.3 kilometers from current position. Biosignature, non-human, critical condition. Most medical teams would ignore such a signal during an active conflict. But not Hyun. Something in his gut, a mixture of professional curiosity and deep human compassion, made him grab his emergency suit and preparatory kit. "I'm going out," he announced to his team. Jinwoo, his primary assistant, looked shocked. "Are you crazy? The entire sector is an active combat zone." Hyun just smiled, a smile that said he'd seen worse, done harder, survived. Impossible scenarios. The small exploration pod detached from the Nightingale with minimal sound. Advanced stealth technology made it virtually invisible to standard tracking systems. Outside, the remnants of an epic space battle told a brutal story. Massive alien spacecraft torn apart, energy weapons having carved intricate destruction, patterns across the cosmic canvas. Scanning systems picked up a faint energy signature. Something was alive out there, barely holding on to existence. As Hyun maneuvered the pod closer, he saw her. An alien creature unlike anything he'd encountered before. Her body looked like a complex network of crystalline structures, currently shattered and leaking strange phosphorescent fluids. Where human anatomy would have bones, she had intricate geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with a dying rhythm. "Identification protocols initiating," the pod's computer announced. "Species unknown. Genetic complexity extremely high. Survival probability 0.03%. Hyun ignored the computer's pessimistic assessment. He'd heard such predictions before and had proven them wrong countless times. Carefully manipulating the pod's external arms, he began the delicate extraction process. Each movement required millimeter-level precision. One wrong touch could terminate the already fragile life form. The alien's eyes, if they could be called eyes, flickered with a strange intelligence. Not fear, not aggression. Something closer to curiosity. "Hold on," Hyun whispered, knowing the creature likely couldn't understand human language. "I'm going to save you." Specialized medical nanodrones activated, creating a protective field around the alien's body. They would stabilize her during transportation, preventing further cellular degradation. The journey back to the Nightingale felt like an eternity. External sensors showed multiple potential hostile movements. This sector was still an active war zone, and any moment could bring unexpected combat. As they entered the medical bay, Hyun's team was ready. Specialized xenobiological equipment hummed to life. Holographic displays showed complex biological readings that looked more like advanced mathematical equations than traditional medical charts. "Prepare quantum adaptive stabilization field," Hyun commanded, "and get me the multispectrum healing gel." Hours passed. The alien's body presented challenges no human medical training could have prepared them for. Her cellular structure was so different that traditional medical approaches seemed almost primitive. But Hyun Park was no ordinary medical professional. Where others saw impossibility, he saw a challenge. Where standard protocols suggested termination, he saw a life worth saving. Little did he know, this moment would change everything. Not just for him, but for the entire human understanding of life, connection, and what it truly means to be alive. The first stage of an extraordinary journey had just begun. The medical bay hummed with an otherworldly silence. Hyun watched the alien's crystalline body slowly stabilize, her complex biological structure responding to treatments no textbook had ever described. Monitoring systems displayed a kaleidoscope of data, biological patterns that looked more like intricate mathematical symphonies than traditional medical readings. Days passed. The alien, whom the medical team unofficially named Arin, remained in a state between consciousness and some unknown form of biological hibernation. Her body seemed to communicate through subtle color shifts and intricate geometric pulse patterns that danced across her crystalline skin. Hyun spent countless hours studying her. Unlike most medical professionals who would treat this as a clinical observation, he saw something deeper: compassion, curiosity, a profound desire to understand. "Her cellular regeneration is unlike anything we've ever seen," Jin-Woo remarked one evening, reviewing holographic medical scans. "These repair mechanisms, they're not just healing, they're evolving." The Nightingale continued its covert mission through the war-torn sector. External sensors constantly tracked potential threats: abandoned space stations, destroyed alien outposts, and the occasional debris field that could hide deadly surprises. On the seventh day, something extraordinary happened. Arin's consciousness began to interface with the medical systems, not through traditional communication, but through complex data patterns. The ship's quantum computers started receiving intricate information bursts, fragments of her species' history, biological memories, glimpses of a civilization so advanced it made human technology look like primitive stone tools. Hyun noticed something remarkable. With each data transfer, Arin's body became more stable. It was as if sharing her story was part of her healing process. "She's not just recovering," Hyun whispered to Jin-Woo. "She's communicating." The medical bay transformed into a nexus of interspecies understanding. Holographic displays showed complex biological networks, neural pathways that seemed to bridge impossible gaps between human medical understanding and alien biochemistry. Robotic medical assistants moved with precision, managing intricate healing protocols. But they were mere tools. The real connection was happening between Hyun and Arin, a bond that transcended traditional understanding of medical treatment. During one particularly intense data transfer, Hyun experienced something unprecedented. Fleeting images rushed through his consciousness: massive space battles, civilizations rising and falling, complex emotional landscapes that human language could barely describe. He saw her world, not just its physical representation, but its emotional core. A civilization built on strict hierarchical structures, where individual survival meant everything. And yet, beneath that rigid exterior, there was something more. A deep, almost impossible capacity for adaptation. "She's showing me why she survived," Hyun realized. Not just through physical resilience, but through an incredible will to understand. The ship's AI detected multiple anomalies. Alien communication frequencies began to ping their location. The war was far from over, and the Nightingale was deep in contested space. "We need to move," Jin-Woo warned. "Alien tracking systems are getting closer." But Hyun was focused on something else. Arin's body was changing, not just healing, but transforming. Her crystalline structure was integrating tiny, human medical nanotechnologies, creating something entirely new: a hybrid, a bridge between two impossibly different biological systems. The medical bay felt charged with potential, not just of survival, but of something more profound, a potential for understanding that went beyond simple medical treatment as emergency. Alarms began to sound, and the ship prepared for potential combat. Hyun understood that this was more than a medical mission. This was the beginning of something humanity had never experienced. First contact wasn't about weapons or territorial expansion. It was about connection, about seeing the profound complexity in what initially seemed completely alien. Arin's body pulsed with a new rhythm, part alien, part human, entirely alive. End of part 2. Would you like me to continue with the next part of the story? The medical bay transformed into a quantum research laboratory. Hyun stared in disbelief as Arin's body underwent an unprecedented metamorphosis. Complex genetic structures danced across holographic displays, revealing something impossible: a biological fusion that defied every known scientific principle. "This shouldn't be happening," Jin-Woo muttered, adjusting sophisticated scanning equipment. The quantum genetic analyzer hummed with intensity, its advanced sensors struggling to comprehend the biological miracle unfolding before them. Arin's crystalline body had begun to integrate human medical nanotechnology in a way no scientist had ever imagined. Her cellular structure wasn't just healing, it was evolving, creating something entirely new. Microscopic networks of human and alien genetic material intertwined like intricate cosmic dance, generating patterns that looked more like living mathematics than biological systems. The Nightingale's medical systems worked over time. Specialized AI algorithms attempted to track the genetic transformation, but they were constantly overwhelmed. This was beyond medical science. This was something closer to biological magic. Yun noticed the first signs 3 weeks after their initial encounter. Subtle changes in Arin's metabolic patterns suggested something extraordinary. A life was forming, not just healing, but growing. "She's pregnant," he whispered, his hand trembling as he reviewed the genetic scans. The implications were staggering. An interspecies pregnancy that defied every known biological barrier. The quantum genetic merger had created something unprecedented. A hybrid life form that represented more than just a medical anomaly. Alarms suddenly blared across the ship. External sensors detected multiple alien tracking signals. The war wasn't over, and now they carried something far more valuable than any military secret. "We need to move," Jinwoo warned, preparing emergency navigation protocols. "Alien combat vessels are converging on our position. The ship's advanced stealth systems activated. Quantum displacement drives hummed to life, preparing to jump through complex space-time corridors. But Hyun's focus remained entirely on Arin. Her body now displayed an incredible fusion of biological systems. Crystalline structures merged with human cellular networks, creating a living blueprint of interspecies potential. Each moment revealed new complexities, neural pathways that bridged impossible biological differences, genetic markers that suggested a profound evolutionary leap. "This child," Hyun explained to his stunned medical team, "represents more than just a biological miracle. It's a potential bridge between civilizations." The genetic intersection wasn't just a medical phenomenon. It was a diplomatic revolution waiting to happen. Robotic medical assistants moved with precision, managing the complex biological processes. Holographic displays showed intricate genetic sequences that looked more like advanced mathematical equations than traditional biological data. Outside the ship's reinforced windows, the cosmic battlefield continued. Destroyed alien spacecraft drifted like silent monuments to a conflict that had raged for generations. But inside the Nightingale, something miraculous was happening. Arin's consciousness began to communicate through complex biological signals, not through traditional language, but through intricate genetic pulse patterns that the ship's advanced quantum computers struggled to interpret. She was aware, conscious of the life growing within her. A life that represented hope in a universe torn apart by conflict. "We're not just saving a life," Hyun told Jinwoo. "We're creating a possibility of understanding." The genetic intersection continued. Each moment revealed new complexities, new potential. A hybrid life form that challenged everything humanity knew about biological limitations, about the potential for connection across seemingly impossible differences. As the Nightingale prepared for another quantum jump, moving deeper into contested space, Hyun understood that they were carrying more than just a medical marvel. They were carrying the future. End of part 3. Would you like me to continue with the next part of the story? The universe seemed to conspire against them. Political shadows. Stretched across multiple star systems, hunting the Nightingale with ruthless determination. Specialized alien hunter-killer drones prowled through asteroid fields, their quantum tracking systems designed to find even the most microscopic energy signatures. Hyun knew they were carrying something far more dangerous than any weapon. Hope, Arin's pregnancy had transformed from a medical marvel into a galactic political nightmare. Multiple alien factions viewed the hybrid child as a potential biological threat. Intelligence reports suggested at least 3 separate assassination teams had been dispatched to eliminate both Arin and the unborn child. "We've got multiple tracking signatures," Jinwoo announced, his fingers dancing across holographic control panels. 3 alien combat vessels just dropped quantum stealth mode in Sector 9. The Nightingale's advanced defensive systems hummed to life. Quantum shields flickered with electromagnetic complexity, creating multiple reality displacement fields that could potentially confuse even the most advanced tracking technologies. Hyun watched Arin. Her crystalline body now showed remarkable, adaptive capabilities. Genetic modifications had transformed her into something beyond a simple biological entity. She was becoming a living weapon of peace, her very existence a challenge to centuries of interspecies conflict, robotic medical. Assistants moved with precision, creating specialized protective environments. The medical bay had transformed into a mobile sanctuary designed to protect the most important biological experiment in galactic history. Sudden explosions rocked the ship's exterior. Alien plasma weapons carved intricate destruction patterns across the ship's quantum shields. Each impact created complex energy signatures that danced like violent mathematical equations. "Quantum jump in 3 minutes," the ship's AI announced. "Probability of successful escape, 62.7%. Those weren't promising odds. But Hyun had never been someone who believed in statistical limitations. The hybrid child growing inside Arin represented more than just a biological miracle. It was a living symbol of potential understanding. Where generations had seen only conflict, this child promised connection. Alien hunter drones approached, their quantum-enhanced weapons preparing for surgical elimination. Specialized biomechanical entities, designed specifically for targeted destruction, began surrounding the Nightingale. "Prepare emergency quantum displacement," Hyun commanded. His voice remained calm, a steady beacon of human resilience in the face of impossible odds. Jinwoo looked concerned. The child's genetic stability might not survive a quantum jump. The cellular disruption could— "We don't have a choice," Hyun interrupted. Arin's crystalline body began to pulse with an extraordinary energy. Her biological systems were adapting, creating protective quantum fields around the developing hybrid child. It was as if her entire genetic structure was transforming into a living, breathing defense mechanism. The ship's exterior began to shimmer. Quantum displacement, drives prepared for an impossible maneuver, jumping through multiple potential realities simultaneously, creating a complex camouflage that would confuse even the most advanced tracking systems. External sensors showed the approaching alien vessels, massive biomechanical constructions that looked more like living organisms than traditional spacecraft. Their quantum weapons could potentially obliterate entire planetary systems with a single targeted strike. But the Nightingale had something they didn't understand: hope, resilience, the fundamental human capacity to survive against impossible odds. "Quantum jump initiating," the ship's AI announced. Reality began to fold. Space-time itself seemed to bend around the Nightingale. The alien hunter vessels momentarily lost their precise targeting, creating a microsecond window of opportunity. Hyun held Arin's hand, her crystalline fingers intertwined with his, a moment of connection that transcended biological boundaries. "We're going to survive this," he whispered. Not just a medical promise, but a fundamental declaration of human determination. The universe around them exploded into a complex dance of quantum potential. Potential realities intersected, merged, and separated in milliseconds. They were running. But they were also fighting. Not with weapons, but with the most powerful force in the universe, the potential for understanding. End of Part 4. Would you like me to continue with the final part of the story? The Galactic Summit Hall stood silent. Representatives from thousands of star systems watched with collective breath held as Hyun and Arin walked forward. Between them, cradled in a quantum-stabilized carrier, lay the future. Their child was unlike anything the universe had ever witnessed. Crystalline skin with subtle human pigmentation. Neural networks that bridged impossible biological boundaries. Eyes that seemed to understand more than any single species could comprehend. The hybrid child, whom they had named Kai, represented more than a biological miracle. Kai was living proof that connection could emerge from the most unexpected places. Diplomatic tensions crackled like static electricity. Some alien delegations viewed the child as a potential biological weapon. Others saw an unprecedented opportunity for interspecies understanding. Robotic diplomatic assistants translated complex emotional undercurrents, their quantum algorithms struggling to capture the profound moment. "This child," Hyun announced, his voice steady and clear, "represents our collective potential, not as separate species, but as interconnected living systems." Arin stood beside him, her transformed body a testament to biological adaptation. Where once she represented a rigid alien hierarchy, now she embodied flexibility, understanding, transformation. The summit hall's advanced holographic systems projected Kai's remarkable biological structure. Quantum genetic scanners revealed intricate networks that merged alien and human biological systems in ways no scientist had previously imagined. Specialized xenobiological researchers leaned forward, their advanced scanning equipment working. Over time, Kai's genetic structure wasn't just a fusion, it was an entirely new form of evolutionary potential. Outside the summit complex, massive space stations hung like mechanical pearls against the cosmic backdrop. Alien spacecraft of various designs created a complex technological tapestry, a visual representation of the diverse civilizations gathered to witness this moment. Political tensions that had lasted generations began to shift. Where once there was only conflict, now there was curiosity. Where separation had ruled, connection now emerged. Kai reached out, tiny crystalline fingers extending. A holographic display captured the moment, a simple gesture that seemed to communicate more than thousands of diplomatic speeches. Quantum translation systems struggled to interpret the child's communication, but something profound was happening. Emotional frequencies that transcended traditional language began to emerge. "We are witnessing a biological bridge," one alien diplomatic representative announced. "Not just between species, but between potential understanding." Hyun watched, his medical training understanding the profound biological miracle. But his human heart saw something more: hope, the fundamental human capacity to transform conflict into connection. Robotic diplomatic assistants began generating complex probability matrices. Statistical models suggested that Kai's very existence could potentially reduce interspecies conflict probabilities by unprecedented percentages. The child wasn't just a biological experiment. Kai was a living diplomatic strategy. Arin's transformed body pulsed with a gentle energy. Her alien systems had been fundamentally altered by human medical intervention, creating something that challenged every previous understanding of biological limitations. "We are more than our differences," she communicated through advanced quantum translation systems. "We are the potential of connection." The summit hall remained transfixed. Thousands of species, represented by their most advanced diplomatic entities, watched a moment that would potentially redefine galactic interactions. Kai continued to reach out, not with traditional communication, but with a profound emotional frequency that seemed to bypass linguistic barriers. A communication of pure potential. Hyun understood in that moment that they had done more than save a life. They had created a possibility, a living blueprint for understanding that transcended traditional biological and cultural boundaries. The universe watched, waiting, wondering. And in the center of it all, a child born from impossible circumstances continued to reach out, connecting, understanding, transforming. End of part 5. Would you like me to elaborate on any part of this narrative? End of part 1. Would you like me to continue with the next part of the story?